Oi.
What's up, man?
What have you been doing?
Just been putting everything together.
You've literally done like everything to the motor and not recorded it.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's been busy.
You mind going into some detail on what you've actually done?
Alright, man, I'll try.
Alright, cheers, man.
So I found some other things that I needed from the shop, so I went and got them. So I got a oil filter, just a Ryko Z9, some sealant for the sump. I got a new harmonic balancer as well because I ended up breaking a piece off the back of the old one trying to remove it because noob mistake. What else I got here? Got a new tensioner pulley, or a new pulley for the tensioner. So the tensioner, got a new pulley for that one. Set of plugs, because I don't know how old the other ones are, and an O2 sensor. I also got a temperature sensor. So this temperature sensor, I'll just get it out. One-handed, of course. Okay, so just a little factory ZD30 temperature sensor, goes on the side of the block. I'm pretty sure it's like a generic Nissan one, and that will be just threaded into that. So that's how I get my temp sensor for my gauge. Alright, so just done all the spark plugs. New freshies in there. This right here is one of the old ones. Where is it? There. Yeah, they're pretty crusty, so probably just from the motor sitting around for so long. I don't know how well this camera's going to focus on the end of this, but you can see they're quite worn too. Kind of tell there's quite a rounding on the edge of the plug. So that's how you can tell they're worn. So these plugs were a BKR 6E. The ones I've put in are a BKR 7E. So I believe they're a slightly... Oh, someone's going to correct me if I get this wrong, but I believe that's a colder plug. Could be wrong. But that's just what was recommended to use by my mate who has a 500 kilowatt Barra. So I was like, well, good enough for that, good enough for this. So they're going to work. Alright, so you can go ahead and put the coil packs in now. I've actually written on what one they came out of, so that's kind of helpful. Now we can put the cover on, and obviously the loom on beforehand. So got one loom that runs up here. That white marker there indicates where that goes through. Alright, so here's my old harmonic balancer, and yeah, she's missing a piece, so I have a new one. I just bit the bullet, bought a brand new freshie. So this is a, what is it, Super Power Bond or something? Power Bond, factory replacement one, Power Bond. And it should do the job for now. So with the amount of power that I'm hoping to get out of it, this one should be fine. So anything over that, and I'm going to have to change rods and stuff anyway. So on the new one here, they've put quite a religious amount of anti-corrosion stuff on the sealing surface just here. I don't know how clear it is. There we go. So I've got to clean all that off first. Alright, so sealing surface is all clean now, so we should be able to go ahead and bang this straight on. We'll line the keyway up. Smear a generous amount on this because this is probably the last thing you want to come out besides your flywheel. Send that on home. Okay, so here I have the top of the sender. Got two dots marked here. So on the back they'll come through in here, in this empty space, so I can point the cables down and then run them down the length of the tube to the pump. So just to make a center punch because I didn't have one. So I'll punch out these 2 holes and then I'll drill them out. So here's how these bulkheads work. You have 2 these little grommet pieces that sit in between. So imagine this is the fuel tank, but obviously over here you have the 2 O-rings that seal in the fuel, and just inside that there's a little black lip, and that lip will protrude into the hole, and so the stud itself is insulated and not touching the outside. So I took a measurement of how far down the fuel sender sits when it was in the tank. Then I also measured the length of the Wilbro 460, and I just took the length of the Wilbro 460 away from the length of where it sat in the tank. So then I've got a mark at 161mm down. So I just have to do a bit of trimming around the fuel sender bit here in order to get it to work, but it should be all good. So that'll be on there in no time. It's just going to have a bit of hose and a couple of hose clamps. Alright, so I chucked a couple terminals on there, put some heat shrink on them, tighten them all up. Just marked on the back here which one's positive and negative. I'll probably do that proper later. It's kind of ghetto, but it works. So that's all on there. Just tied the clip up there. So it's ready to go in the tank. So we can actually seal the tank up now. Alright, so I'm at the back of the car now, and that's the fuel tank in there. So just noticed there's a bit of dirt in there, and obviously I need to get that diesel out. So what I'm going to do is siphon that diesel out and see how much is in there. Hopefully it's less than 20 litres, and see if we can get this pump installed. I also need to change these couple of hoses just here. So those short little lines here, they need to be changed to some EFI hose, which I've got. So we'll chuck them on and see how we go. Tell you what though, tastes a lot better than diesel. Summersby watermelon. Not bad. So I got my earth lead on. I have drilled a hole out, put a grommet through there. So I need to feed the earth one out through there. I was just making sure that one fits, so we need to pull that one off. Stuff this one back through that way. There we go. So now you have a proper terminal ready to go straight out of the tank. Sit on there. Do that up. So these have an Allen key in the centre. Just use the Allen key to hold it so it doesn't turn on the inside of the tank. And that's how you can wire and plumb up a fuel tank. So just need to plug the original sender back in. Yep, that way. That way? Surely. Yep. There we go, all in. Tuck him under there. Now we just need to replace these fuel hoses, so you get some proper EFI hose on them. Bolt this down and just need to earth our earth wire. So let's get to changing these lines. Alright, so got those 2 pieces out. We've got some fresh EFI hose here. Get the little end off, there we go. So these soft diesel lines are going to be replaced with some proper EFI hose with proper hose clamps. So I'll chuck them on the the hard end first, and then I'll make sure they are all the right length, and then I'll cut them and then put them onto the sender. Alright, so got the high and low pressure lines on. There's a mission, I'll tell you that. I'm just going to cut these to the right length now and chuck them onto the unit. That's all in. I'm sure the other 2 bolts went, but once I'm somewhere. Alright, so in order to get that earth down, I have the rib nut gun, got a bolt and washer which are around the wrong way. String washer goes on first. Got a rib nut to go with that, some sandpaper to clean the hole up, a larger drill bit and a smaller starting drill bit. I want it in this area here, just to make it easier to get to. So it should be out of the way of all this foam, because it's going to be the other bit of top bit. The other bit comes over the top like that, so you're going to have some room in here. So just going to mark a little X in here. So now I've marked my hole there. Just need to make sure that underneath there's nothing in the way, so there's no tabs or wires, or the tank's not right there. So that's all clear. Now I did just eyeball this, so it should work. Drill bit is not sharp at all. Okay. So I'm going to clean around this hole so that when the rib nut goes into the hole, it's going to get a connection and get a reliable connection. The heat shrink on it. Alright, so that's all in. Alrighty. So, I get to cut a 3/4 BSP thread, I think it was. 3/4? Yeah, 3/4 BSP thread, I think. So yeah, 3/4 BSP thread with BSP to, well, a 19mm hose tail to BSP thread. This was a naturally aspirated sump, so it didn't have the cutouts already in it. So if you buy a turbo sump, it'll already have bolt holes and a hole all the way through it. But because I had an NA sump, it didn't have the drains for the turbo feed going back into the sump. So that's all been done now. And obviously the other thing is the dipstick. So the dipstick, literally standard BA dipstick, and we put the bung into the sump with an O-ring on it, and that slides in there quite nicely. Basically what I'm going to have to do is fill the car up with oil, see where it comes to on the stick, mark it, cut it, put it back in and use it that way. So that's going to have to wait until then, but for now it's going to work. We just sandblasted it, it's not a new sump or anything, it's still that same sump. I just gave it a blast at work, and yeah, so this is all welded in. Big thank you to my boss who welded it all up for me. Cheers, Dave. So yeah, she's all in there, all ready to go on, so that's probably the next step. My camera battery just went flat, but I've got a bit of silicone around the sump. You don't need to go overboard with it. I did go a little overboard here just because it's where the pickup was all welded on. Sorry, the dipstick was all welded on. So what I'm going to do now, where's my torch? Yeah, what I'm going to do now is just do a final clean of this. I'm going to add a little bit more silicone to those little joiners there, and back in the corners in there. So how well you can see it, but like these corners in here, where I'm going to add a little bit more silicone just through there. So
Gonna give it one more wipe, clean it all up, make sure everything, all the oil on that's out of these little grooves and that kind of stuff. And we're gonna bang it on. Alright, so got all the bolts just sitting in there, so I'm just going to go do all of them up and then we can move on to the other ones. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to start in the middle and I'm just going to do like a pattern all the way out each way. So I'm going to grab a marker as well so I can mark the ones that I've done. Alrighty, so we've got all of them done, all tightened up, and we've got as you can see, got a nice bead of silicone that's popping out all the way around. That one's probably not going to fit through there because it comes quite in deep through here. So should be all good though. All the way around the back as well, so awesome. Alright, so it says to apply Loctite 567 sealant or equivalent to both the threads. So to the bolt threads. So here's Loctite 567. It's the same stuff that you can use for pipe sealant. I mean, some people get it supplied with secondary fuel filters, like diesel fuel filters and that kind of stuff. That's where I got this one from. But I mean, to be honest, it's basically the same as gasket goo, or I mean, like even in a pinch, you could probably use some of that. But I mean, if you can use the proper stuff, use the proper stuff. I got some here, so I'm going to give the bolts a coat, stuff them in and tighten them to 58 plus or minus 8 Newton meters. So we'll probably just go to 60 and send it from there. It's got thread sealant, got my bolts, so put a healthy amount on them, send them in.
Sump is on. Woo. So I just took the old oil filter off, just banging the new one on, and just thought I'd let you guys know that when you put new filters on, just get a little bit of the old oil or fresh oil, doesn't matter, just run some around the O-ring on the filter, otherwise it's just going to seize up the next time you try and take it off. So for the next time, just chuck a little bit of oil on that seal, and next time you go to take it off, it'll be a lot easier for you. You only do them up hand tight, you don't need to do them any harder than hand tight, otherwise again it's going to be a pain to get off, so there you go.
Hey guys, it's Future Ben here. Thanks for watching this episode. Sorry it's a bit late, it's long overdue, I know. I've been a little busy over Christmas break, trying to do everything else, so just got around to editing it. There's definitely a few interesting episodes coming up, so definitely going to try and get them out a lot quicker. So coming up, we're going to have the wiring stuff, a bit of the turbo manifold stuff. I had to change the manifold. You guys will see that in the future. What else have we done? We've got a radiator. So my lovely, beautiful girlfriend bought me a radiator for Christmas. So that's one thing I'll be getting in as well. So got that getting all set up. We're also trying to work out some belts and power steerings. Another thing I'd like to apologise for is how the content's kind of all over the place. So I do understand that there isn't quite a step-by-step stuff for everything. It's mainly because when I get parts, I fit them then and there, because it's basically the only part that I'm waiting for to finish off that step or to get to the next step. So I will try and organise my content a lot better so that each step is done in order and it's completed start to finish if possible. So once again, thanks guys for watching. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers. Want to say goodbye, bud? Want to say goodbye? Say goodbye to him.